Hey, it's Workbench with Workbench Quagmire. We're here for our free code camp Python certification in 100-ish days. It's day 35. I had to split up the ISBN debug and ISBN validator lab because it took me way too long to get to the solution. So if you've watched, that one got split up. The original plan was to do it in one shot. So one of the things I said I was going to do is, and what we're going to do today is go through this error handling review. This actually shouldn't take very long, but also I've got the terminal open here, so we'll probably try to do a few of these items and kind of play around with it and see what we can learn here and maybe practice a little bit. So let's just jump right in here. I'm going to create a very we'll call it error.py file here, and we'll open it. Give us something to play around and with code with. So common errors in Python, syntax errors. So those are the errors that Python raises when your code does not follow its syntax rules. For example, the code print hello world there will lead to a syntax error with the message syntax open parentheses was never closed because the code is missing a closing parentheses. So let's try this out. I'm going to have to move my microphone a little bit, so if you hear some noise. All right. So we got an error. Let's have a Xcode license thing there. So I didn't get the same error. Oh, there it is. Syntax error was never closed. I was looking for it up here. So let's, I believe it should tell us the same thing if we just run it in the command line, but ooh, look at that. Won't even let us. There we go. So that's interesting. So that's a syntax error. Name error is raised when when you try to access a variable or function you have not defined. For instance, if you have the print line print username in your code without having a username variable defined, you'll get a name error with this message. Name error, username is not defined. So these are things that are going to happen when we try to run the code. I think the rest of these are sort of what we played with in the lab, where it was going to be a situation where there we go. So there we are. Name error, name username is not defined. I was saying the rest of these, I think, are these type errors and stuff. This is what we were working with in the lab. So type error is when an error this is the error Python throws when you perform an operation on two or more incompatible data types. For example, if you try to add a string to a number, you'll get the error uh, can only concatenate string, not int, to string. So one of the things I don't think uh, we've seen mentioned yet. Oh, I keep typing print and type Python. There we go. So if you, the example here is, we say hi plus 4. And it's going to give us a type error. The interesting thing is you can do this. So it just puts hi 4 times. So um, you can't divide hi, I don't believe. Maybe you can. Nope, type error. So unsupported operand types for division, string, and int. So you can't divide, you can't add, and you probably cannot subtract either. Nope. Let's try this. Nope, that won't work either. So the one thing you can mix with strings and numbers is you can multiply. So index error you get when you try to access an index that does not exist in a list or other sequence like a tuple or string. For example, in the hello world string, the index of the last character is 11. If you try to go ahead and access the character this way, greet equals hello world, print, what on earth is that? Why is there a semicolon? Oh my. Let's type that in and see what happens. Semicolon, print, greet, or print greet 11 just to see if it works. String index out of range. That worked. I don't think I've ever seen the use of a colon in Python or a semicolon in Python like that. Um, that's some real C stuff there. Almost every other language is. That's one of. It's like a Python thing where it's like, hey, we don't use semicolons, but I guess you can. Um, yeah, that's crazy. So as we saw there, if this is 12, that doesn't work because it's out of range. Because length of greet is 11. So, but the problem is we start at 0, so there's no 11th item. Oh, there is a 10th. So, and then attribute error. Python raises this error when you try to use a method or property that does not exist in an object of that type. For example, calling append on a string will lead you to an error with the message attribute string object has no attribute append. So if we say greet append, yeah, just put a 1 on the end. There's our attribute error. I talked about before, one of the cool things you can do is type in dir greet, and then it'll actually show you all the methods that are available. From all these dunder methods up here to, so you got capitalize, case fold. I don't even know what case fold does. I don't know what happened there. We can do this then. Help. Greet dot case fold. Casefold, the method of a built-in string instance, returns a version of the string suitable for caseless comparisons. Interesting. So there we go. Center count. I guess count. Takes at least one argument. Oh, I think we reviewed count. Count L. The three L's. Okay. Let's do this again to get our list of methods up. Yeah, there's all kinds of methods here. Strip, talk about that. Swap case, title, translate, upper, make trans. We did that. Zfill. So yeah, that's how we can see. So one of the things I do is often when I'm writing code, if I don't know how something works, I'll create a little example in the terminal like this, and I may actually go, gee, what are my options here? And then start kind of picking through the methods and see if there's something there that I can use and I have to create myself. Good debugging techniques in Python using the print function. Insert print statements around various points in your code while debugging helps you see the values of variables and how your code flows. Using Python's built-in debugger. Python provides a PDB module for debugging. That's part of the Python standard library, so it's always available for use. With PDB, you can set a trace with set trace method, so you can start stepping through the code and inspect variables in an interactive way. So let's do this. Um, let's see if we can't reverse this name. So name equals name. And then if we do colon, -1, and we don't know if this is going to work, so import PDB. Then we go down here, pdb.setTrace. Turn name. Print. Greeting. I love cheese. I always use that for examples. Oop, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to Python error. There we go. PDB. So then we can do help, if I remember correctly. Yep. So we can use next. I think break args. Return name. And then we can do there we go. We reverse cheese. So I need to play around with that more to learn that better because that's pretty handy. Um, Although I mostly use prints. So then you can leverage IDE debugging tools. So we talked about VS Code in the examples, but PyCharm, which is a pretty popular Python editor, I think probably with professionals and maybe old school folks, that really, I know a lot of people really love PyCharm. I've used it a little bit, just never been my thing. It's super, super helpful. It's a very good editor. Um, so, and exception handling. Try except blocks where you anticipate an error might occur. Well, the except block takes a specified exception and runs it if that specified error is raised. Here's an example. So there's our example. Try to print. If we get a zero division error, we'll say you can't divide by zero. Notice the escaping of the single quote. You can also chain multiple except blocks. There's an example of that. Different types of errors with different types of responses. And then else runs if none of your except blocks run. And finally runs every time, regardless of there's errors. So here's the example of that. Try. It's going to be, are we get zero division? No, we're not. So it's just going to print the result. And then it's going to print execution complete, which I'm not sure the benefit of putting that into finally. You could really just do the try except and then print. So exception object, this lets you access the exception itself for better debugging and printing the direct error message. To access the exception object, you need to use the as keyword. So let's try an example of this and that. Let's see, try. We're going to do the num equals 100 divided by 0 equals except what is it? Divide by 0 error. 0 division error. And then we say as E, I believe. Yep. And then down here we put print caught an error E. Uh, unmatched bracket. Oh, now I can try this. Yep. Set that. Print this. Caught an error, division by 0. So there we go. The raise statement, this allows us to manually raise an exception. So you use it to throw an exception when a certain condition is met. So in this example, we're dividing A by B. If B equals 0, you can raise a 0 division error and then return AB. And then when you call that function with a 0 for B, you know exactly what error is going to be raised because you manually triggered it. Exception signaling, the raise statement is also useful when you create your own custom exceptions, as you can use it to throw an exception with a custom message. So here's examples of that. Invalid credential error. We've created the invalid credential error. is a subclass of an exception. And we'll learn more about classes later. Init self message. Self message. So that's just how we would do that. Here's how I can use the login function from the invalid credentials. This is a lot of stuff. So there we go. That's our review. Now I just have to take the quiz or the whatever it's called. What is it called? Quiz and pass it. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share the videos if you like them. If you know somebody's trying to learn and they are working through this and they need a little help, or they just enjoy watching somebody else struggle, go ahead and share the videos. So until next time, see ya.